So hi everyone, welcome back to another More Yourself episode. And today I'm sharing another clip from our brilliant first live event that happened last month. And I wanted to share this clip with Dr. Hannah Cullen, who is a clinical psychologist. She's also an amazing ADHD sort of expert, understanding it from a lived experience, but also cultivating a client base of ADHD late diagnosed patients or clients. I wanted to share this clip because it was a really interactive bit of her talk. And she explains a little bit about the neuroscience of our brains through this interactive exercise where she brought me in as her helper, really showcasing how our ADHD brains show up throughout our days, lives, making things a lot more challenging. And she continues in the rest of her session to really highlight the importance of neuroaffirming therapy after a diagnosis of ADHD and why you might feel like you have this strong inner critic, where it all comes from, and how to build useful strategies and structures to ease our cognitive loads, and how to break down tasks and make things more manageable, and then how to understand ourselves and why these experiences that we all share, such as overthinking, anxiety, and self-criticism, and RSD, are so much more common for us. And not to sort of wallow in this, but to understand it with compassion and understanding that we can move forwards with greater knowledge and allow ourselves to grow through all this awareness. I hope that you enjoy this clip. I hope that it kind of shows you the dynamic that was happening on the day, and also what a brilliant expert she is on this subject. And as you know, the audio experience is fully available as well. So if you kind of love this clip, please know that you get her full talk, her full session alongside the other speakers' sessions, which include about hormones and purpose, and my talk on post-diagnosis growth and strengths and what we lean into after we've had these diagnoses. So do know that this is all available for you to listen to as a whole audio experience. So here is the clip with Dr. Hannah Cullen.
So when we talk about burnout and we talk about pacing techniques and we talk, like, if you don't understand that your default mode network is going to be always on, life becomes so hard. And it's kind of the one piece of information I'm thinking, like, why is this not, like, in every assessment, why is this not, like, the neuroscience not taught to, but to our children even who may be neurodiverse? You know, why are we not talking about, like, actually this is how your brain works, this is how it's different, what techniques can we put in place to try and quiet the default mode network? Also, if a task is really interesting, as you said, Kate, it's super easy to kind of pay attention, right? So in those instances, default mode network goes off, task positive network turns on, we can do what we need to do. Does that make sense? Is that the kind of visual? Thank you. That's really kind. Thank you. So it's just something that I think is super important to know. And also the default mode network, yes, it's like really disruptive, but also just to validate, like, this is where neurodivergent people get their creativity, their spontaneity, their enthusiasm, you know, because it's this piece that's the driver. And we always hear that, don't we? Like, oh, I have these great plans, but I just can't kind of get them going and get them off. And that's where we use our skill sets. We use our skill sets like body doubling. We outsource where possible for the admin tasks. You hire someone to send an email to your boss because he probably wouldn't have emailed you in the first place if you had have actually emailed him. So it's outsourcing. It's like using our skill set, body doubling, as I said, task initiation techniques as well, such as, like, even if it is starting a boring task and we're stuck in this mode and we're trying to get this on, and you know this task is like something you normally procrastinate, it's called micro starts, like 5 minutes. That's all you need. Just take the laptop out and open it, charge it. Something small to start bringing this up. Okay, I just wanted to share that with you because I think it's really helpful sometimes to have that visual as well in that sense.
I want to speak for a moment to those of you who are finding yourselves wanting to go deeper, not just in your own ADHD understanding, but wanting to support others more intentionally, more ethically, and more holistically. From what I am seeing out there, there is a real shortage of good quality, properly trained ADHD specialists. So many people are finally receiving a diagnosis, and then they are left without any ongoing, informed, compassionate support. And that's why I'm really glad to share the Neurodiversity Training Academy with you. This is for people like yourself who may want to specialise in ADHD and ADHD coaching. So it's including anyone that is an existing coach, therapist, health professional, educator, and consultant. And yes, many of their students are neurodivergent women, and they are actively welcoming more men into this work as well. And what makes this training stand out is the depth. It goes beyond the surface level strategies and looks at ADHD across the daily life, the lifespan, including hormones, stress, energy and burnout, emotional regulation, RSD, sensory processing, and executive functioning. The approach is science-led and holistic. It's ADHD and ADHD informed training. It's also CPD and ICF-CCE accredited and is constantly evolving. So the more we know, we're learning all the time with ADHD. And that is what's so powerful about the training academy, is that they constantly evolve with this, because this space moves fast and staying up to date matters. And importantly, this isn't just about learning, it's about sustainability. And founder Kim, who I have known for quite a few years now on this journey, brings over 20 years of her own business experience supporting students to feel confident and ready to build a values-led practice. And their ethos says it beautifully: lose the label, wear the badge. So if you've ever felt called to support the ADHD community more deeply, or you want to add more skills and tools to what you're already doing to help remove the shame and recognize more strengths and offer truly informed care, this could be a powerful next step for you. You can download the brochure or book a call to explore their accredited ADHD practitioner, coach, and advanced ADHD pathways at neurodiversitytrainingacademy.com/pod. This is about raising the standard of support so ADHD minds can truly thrive. Now back to today's episode.
I was going to drag Kate up here to do a little example, but I feel like I've sort of explained it. But we can actually have a go. Should we see what the default mode network does? Right. So obviously, Kate, you are ADHD. You have ADHD as well. So
Very
this
much,
is an
yes.
extra challenge. So what I'm going to ask you to do is we're going to try to switch on your task positive network.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you to try to say the days of the month. What? The months of the year. Thank you.
Thanks, Faith.
The months of the year backwards.
Oh no. Oh God.
And it's quite a challenging thing. So don't
Okay.
worry. We can just take your time. So
Yeah.
no distractions, task positive network. There's no time limit.
Okay.
You just work. You can make mistakes. It's absolutely
So
fine.
start from December.
Yep.
Okay. December, November, October, September, August, July, June, May, April, March, Feb, January.
That actually deserves a round of applause. That was amazing. Well done. Okay, so task positive network was really in full flow there, right? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to ask you to do it again.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to be your default mode network. And you just do your thing, okay? So this is a default mode network, okay? When you're ready, take it from the top.
Do what I did.
Exactly the same, yeah, okay.
December, November.
Kate, did you ask your husband to pick your kids up from school?
December, November,
What's for dinner
October,
later?
September.
Can you ask that lady in the red jumper where she got that?
August, July.
What colour are your socks?
June, May.
Are you on time? Are you tracking the time for
April,
this talk?
March, Feb, January.
You're actually very
December,
slow.
January. Oh, God. That was hideous. That
Okay.
sounds like my brain.
Yes, well done. That is absolutely brilliant. And the
God.
whole point being is that is the reality of how we do life, right?
I had to close my eyes.
I saw that and I was just about to comment on that
Yeah.
actually, because you are trying so hard to keep this on. Yeah, you're really the first time round when it was like that's pretty difficult to do anyway because you're in a room full of people, so it's not a natural setting. But that is the reality of how we do life.
Yeah.
Our default mode network is overactive. When we have to do a task, if there's any pause in the task, our mind goes. So it's often where we see this description of which is one of the questions in the assessments, which I know you're all aware of, do you start a task and often fail to finish it? Yeah, sure. And it's like, of course, it's the working memory as well, the kind of trying to hold things. And in reality, I think a lot of people with ADHD are still without a system because systems are hard to implement, are still holding so much here in their mind about what they have to do and all of those things that we just spoke about. And without a strong, robust system in place, it becomes really hard. The cognitive load is immense. And I don't know why, when we're already at this kind of deficit, that we feel like we'll remember. Like, we don't. We really don't. And in reality, as human beings, we can only ever hold 7 pieces of information at one time. That's working memory. So when we're trying to remember what we were supposed to do last week, as well as today, and as well as tomorrow, and as well as on Sunday, it becomes impossible. So if anybody here does not have a system in place or a diary in place, even though it's difficult to implement, I would say that is the first place you could start in terms of reducing burnout, quietening the DMN, building consistency, and just kind of actually softening the load. It's the more practical kind of things that actually can really help. And sometimes they're the boring things that people with ADHD don't love doing, like checking the calendar or things like that. I just want to say as well, like another reason, obviously, why, back to that piece of why women are missed, is because we have very complex presentations in comparison to men with ADHD as well. So we literally are the perfect storm. And I think that's what's going to tie in really nicely with Adele's piece as well around hormones, because if that's not being included and you're not seeing, or whoever you're speaking to is not seeing that as part of the picture, oh my gosh. Again, it becomes down to that piece of like having the right lens, that when you're working with somebody, we are more complex. We have higher levels of stress. We have higher levels of anxiety, higher levels of depression, lower levels of self-esteem in comparison to men with ADHD. So, I mean, I don't need anybody to take a guess as to why that might be. Life's pretty tough for women in that sense. And we have more complex presentation, obviously, to neurotypicals. By the time women actually get diagnosed, they will have seen multiple mental health professionals or medical professionals. And it's like, Adele, you mentioned down there earlier, it's like, who do I go to next? Like, how can somebody help me figure this out? Because you shouldn't. And that's what's really hard. You shouldn't have to figure it out by yourself. We obviously have high levels of masking as girls as well. And then managing that into adulthood as well, we become really expert at it. And I hope sometimes every time I do an event, I hope to kind of have something like super positive to share. But actually, I always feel like I want to say that things are changing and yes, they're moving in the right direction, but it's still not enough.
Thank you for being here and listening to today's episode. I just want to remind you that if you are looking for more support on your ADHD journey, there are so many resources waiting for you over at ADHDwomenswellbeing.co.uk. So inside the ADHD Women's Wellbeing Workshop Library, you'll find practical and compassionate guidance on topics such as nervous system regulation, rejection-sensitive dysphoria, perfectionism, emotional regulation, hormones, parenting, and so much more, all designed specifically for late diagnosed neurodivergent women. You can also explore my new book, the ADHD Women's Wellbeing Toolkit, which was published by DK, which is also available in ebook and audiobook, which is packed full of tools to help you feel calmer, more regulated, and more like yourself. And if you do crave a bit more deeper connection and ongoing support, come and join us inside the More Yourself community. It's a gentle space for learning, reflection, and connection with other neurodivergent women. And you'll also find the recordings from our first ever ADHD Women's Wellbeing live event, which brought together incredible speakers and a room full of inspiring women for a truly special day. We have recorded it all for you and it's there to buy. So whether you're just starting your journey or looking to go deeper, there's something there for every stage. Just head to ADHDwomenswellbeing.co.uk to explore everything. And as always, thank you so much for being here and for being part of this community.